Hello and welcome to the NCCC Compliance Project. We are in week 5 of our 30-minute mentor. Okay, and this week we're going to talk about making objects compliant like pictures and hyperlinks and tables. Okay, so I just wanted to give you an example of some of the things that we're talking about. The obvious ones are the pictures and images. So if you have a picture of yourself, you should have alt text attached to the picture with a description about that picture. When you get into charts and smart art and tables that you might have in Microsoft Word, you might need a little bit more than just the description or the title area to explain to a sighting impaired student that can't see what's in the image. So we're going to talk about how to go in and document those images to explain to a student and make it ADA compliant. Hyperlinks, we're going to talk about hyperlinks and what you need to do to make them compliant as well. Now, basically, all these types of objects have to have alt text attached to them, okay? So that's the main thing, and we're going to talk about how to quickly go in and do that. Now, basically, any image that you have, if you're in Microsoft Word, if you right-click on that image and you go into the format option, which is usually at the bottom of the menu, and you click on the size and properties icon, and that's the one that I'm pointing to in this image, and you put in a title and a description. So one of the things that I've talked to OpenSUNY about with this, they said depending on the screen readers, that it's a good idea to put basically the same thing in the title and in the description, and obviously can make this description a little bit longer as well. The reason why they say that is because some screen readers read the description and some screen readers read the title. So even though you're probably going to put in a short title, if you do have a chart or a diagram or anything like that, the description should be a little bit longer. Okay, so it's basically right-click on it, go into the format option, and then add the alt text to it. Okay, in Blackboard, it's basically the same thing. You're going to right-click on the image and go into the image option in the menu, like you see in this image here, and then you will get a dialog box that will let you put in an image description and a title. And again, in this case, you'll see that I actually have the same thing in both of these. And depending on the screen reader will depend on which one is actually read. Okay. Now, when you get into like charts and diagrams and smart art and tables, a lot of times somewhere in the document that you're using or in the PowerPoint and the notes or something like that, you really should have a full description of what is being told by the chart or the smart art or the diagram. So when you actually go in and do the alt text, you would probably put in a definition that would say, you know, here's the title of the chart, and maybe the description would say, go to the note section of the slide to get a full description of this chart. Or if it's a Word document, you might say that the next paragraph below gives you a full description of the chart and lays it out for you. So that way you actually have a paragraph describing what they would see in that chart. Now, to add the alt text to the chart, you would go to the edge of the chart. You would right-click on the edge of the chart and again go into Format, which is going to be at the end of the menu like in this picture here. And it's the same button in here. It's the alt text to format it and add the alt text to it. Okay, and this gives you a breakdown of what to click on. If you're going to do a narrated PowerPoint, this is another way around. getting a little bit more information about the chart or the diagram. So that's another option as well, but you've got to remember, if you're going to narrate PowerPoints and have these charts or these diagrams in there, you've got to make sure that you have a transcript to go with your narration, or upload it to YouTube and do the closed caption. So that's another way to get around this as well. Okay, your tables are basically the exact same way. You're going to right click on the edge of the table and go into format. In this case, it says shape when you're Microsoft Word. Now, remember that in Blackboard, you can't make a table totally compliant in Blackboard, so it's important to actually do the tables in Microsoft Word and then either attach the file for students to print out. It should actually be uploaded as a PDF to make it easier for them to print as well. And when you right click on the edge of the table and add the alt text to the table, this way the screen readers will be able to read that. And that also is required if you're going to put it into a PDF as well. Okay, you could also do the same thing with the table, have the description tell them to refer to the next paragraph in the document that will explain what they see in that table. Okay, if you don't want to put the whole description in there as part of the alt text. Okay, and again, I've given the steps in here on setting it up. Okay, now hyperlinks. This is something that, depending on the mode of the document and how you're going to distribute, if it's a hard copy, obviously it will be easier for you to include the URL, but if it's an electronic version of the document, it should not show the URL. It should show text instead, and the text should become the link going out to that particular website. And I've got some examples on my next slide here. If you take a full URL and you have that on an electronic page, a screen reader is going to read that entire URL to the student. So it's better that if you are going to give out documents and have an electronic version for somebody to use as a screen reader, you should actually change it to either a tiny URL or do the bit.ly URL and get a smaller URL for it to read. So that's the second example here. Okay, the one thing that you also have to remember is that you have to do the alt text on any of these links that you set up. So the alt text will let you know what that link actually is going to jump to when they click on it. And in this one here, you'll see that if I point to the top one, it shows the full URL for the alt text. And down on, let me come over here, and on the second one, it's still showing what the tiny URL is. But on the third one, I've actually set up the alt text. So it's telling them if they click on this, the website provides them examples of rubrics. So you want to make sure that the text in the document is something that is self-explanatory. When the screen reader goes over and reads it, it makes sense to the person that's having it read to them. The alt text is important to make sure that you set that up on the any URLs that you set up in your documentation, that it has an explanation of what that link's going to take them to. All right, so here's an example. If you're doing a hyperlink in Blackboard, when you set up the text, you write out what they're actually going to. Now in this case, I wanted them to see my email address, so you can see that it's spelled out. And then you would go to the link option in here and edit the link and put in the title for that link. What is it going to take them to? What is it, what's the end result when they click on that link? All right. Another thing that you want to make sure of, and to make this more compliant, is to actually have it open up in a new window. So under that target, it should say open up in new window. Okay, so make sure that you have that set up for your hyperlinks. Okay, now in Blackboard, you're already going to have the browser open, so it's going to create another tab for them, and then that way they can view the website and they could actually tab back and forth between the Blackboard page and the website that they're linking out to make it a little bit easier for someone who's sight impaired. Okay, and it helps your students too. They don't have to try and figure out how to get back to the place they were in Blackboard. Okay, so make sure it's opening up in a new window. All right, now in a Word document, a lot of the Word documents that if you typed in the URL and hit the space bar or hit enter, it automatically creates the link. So if you are going to go in and make it text, then you actually have to go in and add a hyperlink to the text. Okay, the other option is you could actually put the hyperlink into the document. You can select the hyperlink once it actually makes it a link. And when you right click on it and go into edit hyperlink, what you can actually do is up in here where it says text to display, you could type in what you want to see within the document so that when they go through the reader, it will say Niagara County Community College, and if I want to, I could put website after it. So that way the student knows when they click on that, that's where it's taking them. Okay. Now also to add alt text or hyperlink, you're going to go to the screen tip button in the upper right hand corner, and that's where you're going to actually type in what's going to be read by the screen reader when it hits that particular hyperlink in the Word document. Okay, this also will help it when it's a PDF and it's saved that way. It will set it up so that when a student rolls their mouse over the top of the URL, it's going to give them the screen tip and not spell out the URL. Okay, so those are the different things that you would set up for different objects, whether it be a website link, a chart, a table, a picture, whether it's in a Word document or whether it's in a Blackboard document or a page in Blackboard. You want to set up the alt text in those. And then remember that tables you need to put into Microsoft Word, and then you could upload that file in Blackboard, and it's recommended to have the Word version and save it as a PDF and upload that PDF version as well. That way students, if they don't have Microsoft Word, they can still open the file in Adobe and print it out. Okay, so those are some of the things to watch out for with non-text items. Okay, now here again are our resources, and you'll see that some of them are tiny URLs, and we probably should go in and alter the fact to one so it's a tiny URL. But I would take a look at these. These are on our NCCC blog. So if you wanted to go in and take a look at any of these resources, they're all located there. Okay. Lynn, did you have anything to add or?
No, very
Okay.
good.
All right. And if you need to get a hold of anybody on the project team, please feel free to give us a call or send us an email. Okay.